Happy Sunday morning. I'm glad you're with us. All right. So here's my question for you today is what are the burdens that you're carrying in your life right now? With all that's going on in the world today, I don't want to pretend that we're not carrying burdens, that from time to time, life is hard, right? That there are times when we have to carry burdens and we can actually do it differently. We can actually, but to pretend that we're not, that we don't have stuff, that we don't have issues, that we don't have needs, that we don't have problems is superficial. Because this time that we find ourselves in, there's real stuff going on. We see real stuff going on in the news. We see people dealing with health challenges and financial challenges. We have a high homelessness rate in this country. We have stuff that's going on. And I don't want to pretend that we don't have stuff going on, but I want to talk about it from a spiritual point of view. So today in Psalms 55:22, we read, "Cast your burdens upon the Lord, and he shall sustain you." Disappointment, whatever the feeling of overwhelm is, to cast your burden upon the Lord, and he shall sustain you. Sometimes as a minister of a church, people will come to me and say, that's such a big responsibility. With so many people looking to you for spiritual support or looking up to you, doesn't it feel overwhelming? And I always kind of look at them like, what? Because for me anyway, the responsibility that I feel in the church, the responsibility I feel as a minister is over and over again that I can't do this. Like my personality cannot do ministry. I'm not smart enough. I'm not capable enough. I can't do it. But God can. And every time I feel overwhelmed with ministry, it's because my ego has stepped in and my ego has taken responsibility. And that never works. So what I know to be true is that when I'm feeling overwhelmed with a burden, when I'm feeling upset with a burden, it's because I'm carrying the burden. And the more that we learn to trust God, to truly trust that there's a presence and power at work in our life, the more we then give our burdens to God, we cast our burdens upon the Lord, we give them up. And the moment you give up a burden, once you turn it over, completely surrender to God, it's no longer an upset. It's no longer a burden. It's no longer a deal. In Matthew 11:28-30, we read, "Come to me, all who are heavy or labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and lowly in heart, and you will find rest for your souls, for my yoke is easy and my burden is light." Like if even Jesus has learned to turn over his stuff to God. Now, Jesus doesn't say, I don't have stuff. Jesus isn't saying, I don't have issues, I don't have needs, I don't have problems. What he's saying is learn from me. Learn from me and take my yoke upon you. And his yoke is that idea. And when we think of a yoke, the yoke is the thing that oxen or horse wear when they're pulling a plow or they're pulling a wagon. It's that thing that allows them to lean into it and pull the wagon or the plow forward. And what Jesus is saying is that mine is easy, mine is light, because I give them to God over and over and over again. And what I want you to ask you today is, what is the burden? What is the upset? What is the situation that you have not yet turned over to God? Or maybe you turned it over to God, but then you took it back. What is the situation in your life that you are still carrying that feels overwhelming? And today, would you be willing to give it to God? Would you be willing to surrender? Would you be willing to cast your burdens upon the Lord? See, what I want you to see is that in every burden, if you had a piece of paper and you wrote down all your burdens, made a big circle in the center of the paper and wrote down all your burdens, what I want you to see is what is the desire underneath the burden. Because sometimes for many of us, when we have a burden, our first desire is, how do I get rid of this burden? How do I get out from underneath this? How do I let this burden go? And for many of us, there really is a deeper desire. There is a desire underneath the burden. And when we know what the desire is, everything in our life gets easier. So when you think about the burdens that you're carrying right now, what I want you to do is I want you to give the burden to God. I want you to surrender. I want you to let it go. I want you to let God be in charge of that situation. And then if God is in charge of that situation, what's the desire underneath the burden? What is that you desire that is greater than the burden? That's what I want. I want you to be, because for some of us, once we carry the burden, it's like the only desire we can think about is freeing ourselves. Well, then free yourself. Let it go. And the idea the trick that I want to talk about today, as we talk about burdens, is your ability to see yourself in a new way. I want you to begin to see yourself in a brand new way. And I want you to practice this little statement. And I want you to say, I see myself, and then fill in the blank. I see myself happier than I've ever been before. I see myself completing this task. I see myself whole and well. I see myself prospered. I want you to actually practice seeing yourself in a new way. And I want you to have people in your life that see you in a new way. You know, that's what I believe as a mastermind partners are, or prayer team, or your chaplain, or anyone in your prayer group. I want you to tell your prayer group, or the people that are praying for you, how you want them to see you. I want you to see me prosper. I want you to see me healthy. I want you to see me whole. I want you to see, and really what the way you want people to see you is fulfilling the desires that you have, is to be able to live a life that's greater than your burdens and really see yourself whole and free and prosperous in every way. I see myself. And there's 3 levels that I want you to practice seeing yourself. The first one is a being level. And it really, that's our nature. That's our core. That's the way that we show up in the world. I see myself happy. I see myself free. I see myself prospered. I see myself whole. I see myself. And I want you to say that with me. I see myself. One more time. I see myself. I see myself happy, prosperous, loving, kind. I see myself. And the next one is I see myself doing. I see myself having a great vacation, or I see myself driving my new car, or I see myself in a new relationship, or I see myself in the highest and the best job, or I see myself in the act of those things that you want to surround yourself in the doing. And then the last one is the having. You know, I see my new car. You know, I see my new home, or I see myself getting a raise at work, or I see myself in this new relationship. So there's the being, the doing, and the having level. And over again, I want you to begin to write down 5 ways that you want to see yourself differently. 5 ways that you're going to set an intention to be living a different life. And you're going to over and over again, I see myself. Because what happens is, when you begin to say, I see myself, you're actually begin to moving from your ego to your essence. That when your essence begins to see you in a new way, when you actually move out of your ego and back into your essence, back into your spirit, back into your divine self, you can actually begin to see yourself in brand new ways, in ways that you've never seen yourself before. And it actually takes us to a whole nother level of creative activity. I see myself. I see myself with new friends. I see myself living a greater life. I see myself over and over again. And this is from an article that was in the Huffington Post. Your brain is built on reinforced, your brain is built to reinforce and regulate your life. Your subconscious mind has something called homeostatic impulse, which regulates functions like body temperature, heartbeat, breathing. Brian Tracy explained it this way. Through your automatic nervous system maintains a balance among the hundreds of chemicals in the billions of cells that make up your entire physical machine function. And it brings them into complete harmony most of the time. But many people don't realize That is, just as your brain is built to regulate your physical self, it does try to regulate your mental self as well. Your mind is constantly filtering and bringing to your attention information and stimuli that affirms your pre-existing beliefs. It is known in psychology as confirmation bias, as well as presenting you with repeated thoughts and impulses that mimic and mirror that which you've experienced in the past. So what we know is that as we begin to use the power of our subconscious mind, we begin to impregnate our subconscious mind with those desires, those beliefs, those realities that we want to create. So unless we're changing our subconscious mind, what we tend to create over and over again is the past. We create the same experiences over and over and again, and that becomes our homeostatic state. But if you want to change your future, if you want to change your present, if you want to live a greater life, then we actually have to begin to program our subconscious mind with the desires that we have for our future. Florence Shinn, we've been studying The Game of Life and How to Play It by Florence Shinn. She says this: when man knows the powers and the workings of his mind, his great desire is to find an easy and quick way to impress the subconscious with good. For simply an intellectual knowledge of truth will not bring forth results. So that's what we're doing. When you say to yourself, I see myself, you're actually impregnating your subconscious mind with a brand new reality. A reality that's not based on your past and what you've gone through already, but a reality that's based on the future that you choose to create. I see myself happier than I've ever been before. I see myself driving a little red Corvette. I see myself in a loving, joyous, fun relationship. Or I see myself healthier than I've ever been before. I see myself is one of the most powerful ways to impregnate your subconscious with new images, new possibilities. And as you begin to hold a new image of yourself, then over and over again, then our mind then begins to work to create that image. And here are a few ways that we can begin to impregnate our subconscious mind. Be willing to see the unchangeable change. I want you to hear that again. Be willing to see the unchangeable change. We began this series with this idea that 99.999% of everything is nothing. That when we see something as fixed or locked in or in concrete, then we tend to have this belief that we're going to create it over and over and over again. Today, what I want you to see is that as you believe that you can change that which has never changed before, you actually empower yourself into change. That we can see with our mind's eye and impregnate our subconscious with a brand new reality that we have never lived before. Be willing to see the unchangeable change. 2, give yourself permission to be successful. Give yourself permission to be successful. I see myself wildly successful. And whatever you set out to achieve, I want you to actually be using those words. I see myself wildly successful. I see myself happier than I've ever been before. I see myself more prosperous than I've ever been before. I see myself in a brand new way. I give myself permission to be more successful than I ever have before. 3, don't accept the limitations of others. When you look at your family and the community that you've come from, what you begin to see fairly quickly are our family limitations. And those family limitations are so much a part of us that we sometimes miss them. We don't always see them. We are raised in a family, and we have an understanding from generation upon generation upon generation of the limitations of our family, of our group, of our community. And point number 3 is, what if you decide today to not take on the limitations of others, even of your people, even of your ancestors, even of your family. I no longer accept the limitations of my past. I no longer accept any limitations. I do no longer take on the limitations of others. 4, surround yourself with positive reinforcement, with positive affirmations. Visualize the life that you want to be living over and over again, that we have to see it. Every time we can see it, we actually impregnate our subconscious with a new possibility. So when you can see yourself living a greater life, you actually create that. 5, speak of your success in present tense. I'm driving my convertible. I'm the CEO of this organization. I am prosperous. Whatever it is, see yourself present tense. 6, create a vision board. And if you don't know what I mean by a vision board, Google it. Or we've got books downstairs in the library. See yourself have visual representations of the life that you want to live. So not only are you saying, I see myself, but you actually have a board, a poster board that has images of the life that you want to be living. Identify your resistance and ask God to heal it. 7, identify your resistance and invite Spirit to heal it. And 8, ask for what you want, even if you don't believe you can get it. Ask for what you want. And the example for this is, even if you don't think you're going to get the promotion or get the thing, ask for what you want. I have a friend, and this friend is asking for a promotion at work. She just shared it with us at staff meeting on Tuesday. She's asking for a promotion, and she knows that she doesn't qualify because she hasn't been in this position long enough, but she's actually willing to go forward and ask for what she wants. She's not afraid to hear no. She's not afraid to allow that to stop her from asking for what you want. If you want a bigger piece of pie, ask for it. If you want to be whatever it is, ask for it. Even if you're afraid they're going to say no, ask. And every time you ask for a greater experience of life, it is a statement that you're claiming your value. You are claiming a life that's big enough for you. So that over and over again, as we ask, we get to be blessed. So here's your homework. This week, I want you to acknowledge your burdens. And I want you to give them to God. I really do. I just want you to give them to God. I want you to trust God and give your burdens to God. And I want you to be very clear about what your desires are underneath your burdens. What are your deeper desires? Love, peace, joy, abundance, health. What is your deeper desire? What would make this walk in life that you're doing easier, better, more fun, more enjoyable? What would add to your walk in life? I want you to get very clear about that. And not limit yourself to your past or what you've done in the past, what your family has done, what your generations before you've done. But I want you to have a brand new relationship with life, where that as you cast your burdens, as you give your burdens to God, I want you to know what your greatest desires are. And I want you to say to yourself, I see myself. And then go. Say it out loud. Have your prayer partners say it back to you. Have your mastermind partners say it back to you. Journal it over and over again. Visualize it. I see myself living my greatest life. For when your soul, when your spirit and your personality come into agreement, when your spirit and your personality are in agreement, nothing can stop you. I see myself living my best life. Will you say that with me? I see myself living my best life. And so it is. Will you join with me in a moment of prayer? I want you to close your eyes and open your soul to your best life. To a life that's greater than you've ever known before. To a life of peace and joy and abundance and love and just overflowing goodness. That sometimes life is hard. It's tough. It's painful. But I don't want you to stay there. I don't want you to get stuck there. I want you to realize that the greater goodness of God is greater than whatever the burdens that you're carrying right now and to give your burdens to God and know that as you see yourself in a greater way, all things are possible. All things are possible. And so it is. Amen. God bless you, friends. Have a great week, and I look forward to being with you next week.